Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, the Dodgers continue winning with the new opponent in town. Michael Busch had his first multi-hit game of his career. We'll get into him. Jason Heyward continues to hit the ball very hard, and now he's starting to have some results to go with it. And the bullpen is starting to round into shape with some new guys like Shelby Miller and one old but new guy, Victor Gonzalez. That's what's on tap, so make sure to keep it Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We can be found wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And if you want to become an everydayer, because we're here every weekday for you, you can just subscribe in each of those places and listen every Monday through Friday, and you can join that exclusive everydayer club. If this is your first time listening or watching, I'm Vince Samperio, and back together again with my co-host Jeff Snider. We're both lifelong Dodger fans that currently cover the team, have been to Dodger Stadium on multiple occasions, and have pretty much been watching the Dodgers growing up our entire lives. So that's why we're here. We're not quite insiders, but we're bringing you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning for around 30 minutes, and that's what we're here to do today. But yeah, Jeff, you were gone, and then I was gone today, but now we're back together, and I think that's when the world is working right.
Yeah, it's been a while. I appreciate you holding things down while I was sick. I saw my doctor today, and he hooked me up with Barry Bonds' prednisone dealer, and I am feeling much, much better now.
There you go. That's all it takes sometimes. So Dodgers won again. The Phillies are in town. Trea Turner's returned to Dodger Stadium, and yeah, good win. Dodgers put up a bunch of runs, and I don't know. Your face seems like you have something to say real quick. No, maybe you're searching for something. But we have a few things to get into. Michael Busch, Jason Heyward, the bullpen, a little bit there. But first, let's get into Trea Turner's comments real quick. Nothing new, at least on our end, from kind of what we thought, but he did basically confirm that the Dodgers never really made an offer, never really attempted to engage him in any contract talks beyond spring training, some talks in spring training before last season started. But yeah, I mean, the Dodgers weren't in the market for a guy, especially not at the price he ended up getting. And it ended up working out for him in terms of getting $300 million.
Yeah. How many years did Trey end up getting?
11.
11 years, $300 million, something like that. Yeah. And the Dodgers realistically if they had made him an offer, it would have been 7 years, $240 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So they knew what the market was, and it would have been insulting to him to, or at least it wouldn't have been productive for either side. The Dodgers knew what he was looking for, knew what he was likely to get, and knew that wasn't going to come from them. So they focused on more realistic possibilities.
Yeah, the main theme with him is kind of the theme we've seen from before. And, he said, I told the Dodgers to, tell it like it is. And I told them I'd do the same on my end. And, he said Andrew Friedman was pretty honest and everything along the way. And that's basically what we've heard from everybody else in terms of the Dodgers when it comes to either contract, trying to negotiate before the season, whether it comes to playing time, whether it comes to expectations coming into a team, whatever the case is. We've heard nothing but good things, at least on the end of being transparent. So that's another notch for the Dodgers in that end. But there was one notch in Michael Busch's belt after last night, his first multi-hit game. He got to start at second base after not playing over the weekend against the Cardinals. So he finally got, to be out there in front of the Dodger Stadium crowd. And he's probably going to get in a little bit of an extended run here. I think everyone's back that needs to be back. JD Martinez is out for a little bit longer. But, Jeff, what we've seen for a week, he got a hit in his debut, hadn't really done much stints, then didn't play for a few days, came in today, got a couple hits. Is there anything you've seen out of him, or anything that we're kind of looking to see these next few days in terms of him getting some playing time?
Yeah, like I said last week, he would probably have to be really, really, really good to stick on the roster. And I think I still think that he's shown he can hit and he's done well defensively. I just don't know that there's going to be the playing time available to justify having him in the big leagues instead of playing every day in the minors. With Rojas back now, you've got you still got to find at bats for Chris Taylor and Trace Thompson somewhere. I don't know with this now that I think everybody is now healthy and done paternitying on the offensive side anyway. And, I'm glad that he has stuck around this long, but I don't know. Like it's hard to see them finding him enough playing time to justify keeping him around, but I've been impressed with what I've seen.
Yeah, the thing for me is 25 is still relatively young, but prospect wise, not necessarily relatively young. And, at what point do the Dodgers decide, okay, what we need him for is to be on the big league roster because he's an upgrade over everything else we have, even if he's not playing that often, or, at this age, just playing more often help out. I think the biggest thing with him is that he's learning third base. So him being able to play every day, just in the sense of being at third base more often and getting more comfortable with the position makes more sense. And realistically, the Dodgers with, guys like Heyward are hitting now. Outman's pretty much an everyday player. Peralta's starting to show some signs of being able to be a productive hitter. Really the only guy on the roster, depending on how you feel about Rojas and him being, defensively the main shortstop, and, Chris Taylor's going to be on the roster regardless. They're not going to get rid of him. So, there's really nobody there for him to be on the roster over other than Trace Thompson, which, might make sense. But even, I guess Trace is supposed to be the guy that hits lefties. He doesn't hit lefties, and he's not really playing any timeouts anyways. So, yeah, it's one of those things where they try to decide, okay, what makes more sense for Busch? Does he help on the major league roster, even if he's not playing every day? Yeah, he probably would, but also when he's learning a position and trying to become, you up that versatility. I think it does make more sense for him to be down. But if they can give him, maybe one or two more starts before JD gets back, I think that might help out.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was thinking of, JD Martinez. I knew there was somebody who wasn't healthy right now. So yeah, he'll probably stick around until JD comes back. But then at that point, especially because the Dodgers' one weakness offensively is hitting against left-handed pitching, and Busch isn't likely to. I mean, I have no doubt he'd do better than Trace Thompson has, but as long as Trace Thompson exists and is on the Dodgers roster, they're going to have to keep rolling him out there in those situations and see what he can do. And so Busch isn't really a help for the one actual weakness they have.
Yeah. So, but like I said, it's good to see him up here, get that time going. And, I'm sure if once he does go back down, assuming nothing else happens in the next week or so, I'm sure we'll see him back up at some point. But nice to see him get a couple hits and be out there in front of the Dodger Stadium crowd. So
for sure.
All right. Well, the other guy that's starting to hit well, and now he's starting to get results to go along with that, is Jason Heyward. He hit a home run last night, so we're going to get into him and kind of what we're seeing from him and what the role for him moving forward is now that he has a little bit more stability, at least in terms of having good at bats. So that's what's on tap. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time app. If you wanted to go to the game last night and you wanted to get a Dustin May bobblehead, you could have used Game Time app to get some last minute tickets to head to Dodger Stadium for low prices, some good tickets, some good deals that they got going on. Game Time app can help you out with killer deals on last minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over those tickets and get hyped for the fun you'll have. So go check them out. Not only baseball, not only Dodger games. They got concerts. They got, Lakers playoffs coming soon or coming this weekend. They got a bunch of different things. They're always having flash deals, last minute tickets. You can see what the view from your seat looks like if you're looking at certain tickets. All that is there for Game Time. It's the place for last minute ticket deals. Remember that Game Time guarantee means you'll get the best price, because if you find tickets in the same section and row And for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. And honestly, the app I've used so far this season for Dodger tickets if I need to help someone find some. So go download the Game Time app now. Snag these tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's download the Game Time app. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first order. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Today's episode is also brought to you by So Rare, a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their own experience collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win big rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards and there's no cost to play. So go check it out. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competition and rewards. So go check out So Rare right now. They got MLB game weeks that happen twice weekly and span a 3 to 4 day cycle. Rack up those points with the player cards you have. And at the end of those game weeks, the MLB managers, So Rare managers who rank at or near the top of their leaderboards with the variety of win a variety of rewards, which can include scarcity cards, game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, and VIP experiences like meeting MLB stars. They're officially with MLB, so they can get you some good names there. Prizes may vary depending on competition. So head to sorare.com. That's SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards. Set your lineup and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/locked on to start playing today. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Become an everydayer by subscribing and listening every single day. And also, if you want to listen to the Dodgers home broadcast for every game, check out the Sirius XM or SXM app. Search Dodgers to listen to the home broadcast of every game. Dodgers take on the Phillies again tonight at 7:10 p.m. You want to check it out. You want to listen. Go get it today. All right, Jeff, we're back. And like I mentioned, Jason Heyward hit a home run last night. Jason Heyward is now OPSing in the 800s. He is one of the league leaders in hard hit percentage. He is, he look at his baseball savant page, and there's a lot of red there. 92nd percentile on average exit velocity, 90 percentile max exit velocity, 99 percentile on hard hit percentage. He's in the 80s or 70s on everything else. His chase rate is elite in the 95th percentile. Is Jason, is this for real? Is this the Jason Heyward we're going to see? Is he on the hot streak? Or, obviously we're going to hope that this is the Jason Heyward for real, but is this a guy the Dodgers can put out there pretty much every day?
Yeah. I mean, you look at his baseball savant page and you think you're looking at an MVP candidate, and the results are finally starting to match it. The last several games, because he was hit, his savant page looked great even when his numbers looked terrible. And now his numbers are almost up to what they should be. And, I think he's probably been having a little bit of good luck lately. I mean, if you hit a ball that has a 500 expected, by definition, half of those you're going to get out on. And I think lately he's been getting on 70% of those or whatever. And so I don't know that this is totally sustainable, but I do think this is largely a case of his luck evening out and giving him the results that he deserves.
Yeah, so I mean, I even shortchanged him a little bit. He's got an OPS in the 900s after last night. A lot of this is anchored by a hot week. The last week he's in over 400, slugging over 700, and that's just with one home run. So he's putting the ball in play, which is a good thing. He's not striking out too often, and the results are starting to mix in. Is it going to be sustainable that he's hits the ball this hard the entire season? Who knows? It's possible. And if he does start playing more often, is that going to tailor off a little bit? Are they going to, he's not old, but he's a little bit older in the sense, but he's in really great shape. So I don't really expect that to be an issue. The other part that him being good opens up, and then if Peralta can get going a little bit, Peralta had a home run last night as well, is Mookie Betts at shortstop becomes more of a thing. And like we saw last night, Mookie Betts also plays shortstop, and guess what? Mookie Betts also homered last night. So these guys all being good is we're still worried if it's the same sustainable, but if it is, or if it's even, 80% of what they're getting, or at least Heyward, at least 80% of what he's given us so far, it just opens up the lineup a lot more because, like I said, you can't get Mookie Betts in there at shortstop, knowing that Miguel Rojas probably can't play there every day because he's already been hurt hamstring wise and lower leg wise a couple of times this season.
Yeah, another interesting question for me about Heyward is, will he get to the point where they start giving him a chance against lefties? He only has 4 plate appearances against lefties this year. He's 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a walk. But that's kind of the definition of a tiny sample size. And you're too young to remember Cal Daniels on the Dodgers, but Cal Daniels against lefties always looked like there was no way he was going to get a hit because he stands so far away from the plate. And so that I kind of think about that sometimes with Heyward because he does stand so far off the plate. But he still gets to the outside pitches. He's got crazy long arms and a long bat and gets to those pitches. And so, obviously, while Trace Thompson's still on the roster, he's going to keep getting those at bats, at least a lot of them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start saying, all right, Jason, you're doing so well against righties. Let's at least give you an occasional start against a lefty and see what you can do, because he is a veteran, good command of the strike zone. I wouldn't be surprised if he could put up, like last year he was bad against everybody. In 2021, he had a 621 OPS against lefties. Not great, but, better than the Dodgers are currently getting from guys like Trace. And so, it wouldn't surprise me if Heyward could be decent against lefties.
Yeah, and at the very least, it's worth a shot. Like I said, based on what we've been getting as Dodger fans in lineups against left-handed pitching. So, yeah, Heyward, has been hitting well the entire season in terms of hard hit balls. He's starting to have some of those balls land or find holes or start going over the wall, and pleasant surprise. And one of those that the Dodgers, he was already working on a new swing before that. The Dodgers helped her find it. And that's always a benefit to that. And then, just again on the point of Mookie Betts played shortstop last night. Again, there has been no bump in the road with Mookie Betts at shortstop. You don't even notice it at this point until you see the ball hit your shortstop and you're like, oh yeah, Mookie's playing short. So, and then another quick note on the offense: Freddie Freeman is starting to get back into the swing of things. All these things that are going positive are coinciding with the Dodgers winning 4 in a row after, a weird series in Pittsburgh. So, the Dodgers are looking pretty good. All right. The other part looking good about the Dodgers, there's a couple guys in the bullpen, one being Shelby Miller, another being Victor Gonzalez. So that's what's next on today's episode. First, we're going to talk about BetterHelp, because today's episode is brought to you by, or sponsored by, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is, how much time do you spend on yourself, like in a week? You're thinking about, yourself, thinking about how you deal with things, thinking about that compared to how you deal with other people and those boundaries that you set. How it's hard to balance the two, and BetterHelp can help you out, because therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. Feed yourself as much as you're feeding others, and you can check that out there. And, as someone who is a natural giver, that's something that I've had to think about in the past and kind of figure out that balance. And, it's always easier with someone to talk to. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonmlb today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonmlb. Remember to become an everydayer and listen every day. Locked On Dodgers, wherever you find podcasts, and on YouTube. You can also listen to the Dodgers home broadcast of every game with SiriusXM or the SXM app. Just search Dodgers and you can listen to every game Dodgers home broadcast. Remember, the Dodgers play tonight against the Phillies at 7:10 p.m. and then Wednesday at 1:10 p.m. So don't forget, you can remember to check out SiriusXM to listen to the Dodgers if you can't watch. All right, Jeff, last part here. A couple guys in the bullpen, that one who's been good pretty much the entire season, but we're still trying to figure out exactly how. One guy that we can see why he's doing well, but that has had, coming off a couple rough years and some injuries, but it's starting to look like the guy that we noticed in 2020. So we'll start there with our eat your shoe favorite player, Victor Gonzalez. Victor Gonzalez is back. He's made a few appearances. He's looked really good. He's throwing 96, and he's looking like the guy that we saw in 2020, and looking like the guy that's going to become the Dodgers' second reliever, less lefty after Ferguson out of the pen, with Alex Vesia continuing to struggle, and maybe makes Alex Vesia expendable at some point this season in terms of he might get sent down before Gonzalez does.
Yeah, expendable in the sense of you can afford to send him down the minors and hope he fixes things like he has in the past. Yeah, Victor's been great, and obviously it's only 4 innings. We got to be a little bit careful, but the stuff looks good, and that means something. You can't tell everything for 4 innings, but it's not like he's getting lucky out there. Like you said, he's throwing hard. He seems to have good command, and he was pitching really well in the minors too. And so it seems to be that he's figured some things out. He was actually the winning pitcher in this game. Tony Gonzalez didn't get through 5 innings, so he wasn't eligible for the win. And Phil Bickford came in, and normally Bickford would be the winning pitcher. But because the Dodgers already had the lead and didn't relinquish it, and when Gonzalez left the game and Bickford came in, the rule actually says it's totally up to the official scorekeeper who gets the win in that situation. It can't be Gonzalez, but it says the official scorer shall credit as the winning pitcher the relief pitcher if there's only one relief pitcher, or the relief pitcher who, in the official scorer's judgment, was the most effective if there's more than one relief pitcher. And Bickford, allowed one of Gonzalez's runs to score and then allowed one of his own the next inning. And so he didn't deserve that win. And Victor Gonzalez absolutely did. You can make a case for Shelby Miller too, but I mean, Gonzalez pitched great and, struck out a couple dudes, didn't allow any runs, had that great defensive play going towards the line, the quick shovel pass that, he got some juice on that ball backhanded. And yeah, I mean, I was happy for him. Pitcher wins don't really matter, but I was happy for him that he got the win. And my sister actually texted me when we were starting this episode asking why Victor Gonzalez got the lead or got the win. And I just responded and said, you better listen to the podcast tomorrow because I'll answer your question there. So this is how I'm getting listeners in my own family.
Yeah, there you go. And, we're talking about throwing hard, and obviously that doesn't mean that's going to be successful. But one note on Gonzalez is he's throwing harder than he's thrown. This is obviously smaller sample size than an entire season of sample size, but he's top, his average pitch right now, or his average sinker, but what he kind of uses fastball is 95.6. It was 94.9 in 2020 when he had the breakout year. It was 94.3 in 2021 when he kind of struggled before getting hurt. So he's up there throwing harder than he has before. Now, there is only a few games of sample size available. He's throwing that sinker a lot more than he's ever thrown in the past. 73.5% of the time. He was usually around, 52 to 55% in the past. But again, this is more probably him just realizing at least in some of the situations he's been in, he's coming in games that were, already kind of decided, or even in last night's game where it wasn't quite decided, but decided enough to where you can go in being aggressive and not having to, use a slider if you don't have to, when slider is more of your put away pitch rather than, a pitch you can throw for strike. So, but yeah, I mean, everything we've seen so far looks good, and we can just hope that continues. Because if we get Victor Gonzalez from 2020, that's a big boost to the bullpen that we really weren't expecting.
Yeah, for sure. And the bullpen is kind of settling in. There's still been some hiccups. Vesia still isn't quite there. Bickford shows flashes of promise and then shows flashes of Bickford. And but Gonzalez is pitching well. Shelby Miller's pitching well. Brewstar's pitching well. Evan Phillips struggled a little bit at the beginning. He's looking good. Who else am I missing? Who's pitching well in the bullpen?
Yancey's had a couple, I think, where he didn't implode.
Who?
Almonte.
Oh yeah, Almonte. his ERA is pretty high, but his stuff looks good, and he seems like maybe he's starting to find it. And so, yeah, I mean, you can start to see the makings of a pretty darn good bullpen.
Yeah, one of those guys you mentioned is Shelby Miller. Shelby Miller did go the final inning in 2/3 last night, and he's been really good for the Dodgers so far this season. I believe his ERA is down to 1.32 now, but it is interesting to kind of see how Shelby Miller is doing this. There's nothing that necessarily stands out, uh, you know, at least not if you go to the pages and anything. There's not a lot of red on his baseball savant page. He's not throwing anything significantly different in the terms of velocity from years past. And if anything, he's throwing a little. I think he's down in velocity a little bit from last year specifically. And the big difference with him this year compared to last year is that he's throwing his four-seam fastball more and he's throwing his slider way less. Again, I don't know if it's not like he's been in situations similar to Gonzalez where he's been like mop-up guy or in a game. He's closed out a couple games now. He's been in, higher leverage situations, maybe not the situations with runners on base coming into an inning, but he's definitely been starting some innings that are big, whether it's the 8th, 9th inning, whatever it is. And he's got, he's throwing that and he's looking good. And it's one of those things where don't try to figure it out. Sometimes it just works. But looking at what it is, he is getting a lot of swing and miss on that fastball. He's not getting so much swing or miss on the slider. But against that fastball, batters are hitting 0-4-0 against him. So that's going to work.
My internet's having issues tonight, and so I hope that our listeners could hear everything you said because I couldn't. But I'm sure I agree because I assume you were saying Shelby Miller's look good, and hope he continues to look good. If so, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, just trying to figure out how he's looking so good, but it's one of those things that sometimes you don't need to question. So, all right, technical difficulties. We lost Jeff there at the end, but that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Become an everydayer. And make it easy by subscribing wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And all you got to do that is search for Locked On Dodgers. Tell your friends and family about us if they are looking for a Dodgers podcast in their life. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snider. I'm at Vincent91. DMs are open on all those accounts if you need to get a hold of us. You can also get a hold of us via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be with us when you get in your car. If you're at home, turn my device play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.